Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann Hess, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence.
Hello, I'm Regina McCann Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a friend with me, and her name is Dr. Kristin Meyer. And Dr. Kristin, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Yes. Hi, Regina. So happy to be here. I am Dr. Kristin Meyer. I am the co-founder of the REACH Group, Educational Consultants and Advocates. We help families navigate the intricacies of special education. So whether it's from early evaluations through adulthood diagnosis, we're able to help families navigate the special education process in public schools and private schools. And I'm a big Philly fan, so if you bleed green, I should be on your special ed team is my motto, especially since we went to the Super Bowl this year. So we love helping families. Yes, we help families from exactly kindergarten all the way through. And if you, again, Birds fan, we should be with you. So that's, and I got into it because I've been in special education my whole career. I taught high school emotional support in Haverford School District, Delaware County. And then I was a principal for a school for children with autism and emotional disturbance in Chester County. So passionate about this underserved population. And actually, it's a very large population of kiddos. So 1 in 5 children has a special education disability. And that is, yeah, right? Nobody thinks about that. 1 in 5. You could think right now and probably name a cousin, niece, nephew, or somebody who might be struggling. But it's 1 in 5 kiddos. So it's a huge part of our population. And I've been very passionate about it since I've been teaching. I just believe that this is a group that deserves everything, just like every other child deserves everything, and that a disability should not impact their access to education. And I saw as a teacher, and even more when I was a principal, that parents don't know what they don't know. And when you have a child with a disability, you go through a mourning process because you have your pregnancy, you imagine their life, you imagine everything, and then they get this diagnosis and it's overwhelming. And so we take that fear and normalize it and make your new normal and help you navigate a world that isn't designed for our special kiddos. So I'm just passionate about it. I love it. I love empowering parents. I really loved when I was a principal kind of getting in trouble for calling parents because I would call them on the back end and say, hey, you're not talking to me right now, but tomorrow you need to say this. And that really kind of pushed me into my advocacy. And then my dissertation is about educating and empowering parents about special ed.
Oh, my goodness. How refreshing. This is amazing. So I want to make sure I understand this correctly because I think I get what you're doing, but I want to confirm. So, because I have very dear friends who have special needs kids. So when you say you're working with them, you're trying to make sure they get the additional, what do you call, benefits or whatever they're called. You help them get those additional tools or resources that they're entitled to, but may not know to ask for.
Exactly. Okay. So when a child has a disability, they typically have an individual education plan that we call an IEP. Mm-hmm. And a child could have services from occupational therapy to speech, physical therapy. They may have reading interventions, math interventions, and depending on their level of need, the district will make their offerings. It's like going to a buffet. You get to see everything, but you're not going to get everything. Well, consider an IEP kind of that. You're going to see your options, but the district doesn't have to give you everything if they don't feel the child needs it. So, for example, today I had a meeting where a child needs a math goal, but the district doesn't feel they have to offer it. And it is an interpretation of law, is what it boils down to. The law states bare minimum, but a district policy, which I love to tear apart, it's like really good reading. I geek out over it. Their district policy says something else. So we like to help parents understand what the policies, the laws, and everything works to get the services. So we're just a little extra friend at the table.
I love
A
it.
very
I love it.
knowledgeable friend at the table.
No, and knowledge is power. Absolutely, absolutely. My dear friend and her son is an adult now, but still special needs. I just remember the stories and what she didn't know to ask for and how much help he did need. And for her, she also was a teacher, so she knew some of it, but she had to learn more of it along the way. And always had to fight to get the necessary tools and resources that he was entitled to because he needed them.
Right. And that speaks so much. She was a teacher, and I have a lot of teachers that refer us because I love teachers. I'm a teacher at heart. That's my passion. I will never say a teacher is not doing the best because the data's in the documents. So I can say where they're doing okay, but for the most part, I love a teacher. I'm never going to take one out to say you're not doing things with fidelity. It comes down to policy, politics, and pricing. That bottom line, that budget, and my special ed kiddos and special ed teachers and special ed programs don't have the funding.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what's happening in the government, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out at this micro level for me, because I am a female entrepreneur. I am running a business in a very uncertain time where it's a volatile, emotional person. And they are entrusting me with their biggest investment of their child to get the best. And so it is emotionally, it's an emotionally driven process for many parents. So we really make sure to honor them, meet them where they are, and be empathetic, but also keep the focus of here's where we need to go. Here's our end result, and we'll get you there.
Now, for a family, a parent, or the kid, what are the first steps in that process? Is it a diagnosis at the doctor level, the medical doctor level? Is it a diagnosis like they didn't test a certain way within the school that starts that process? Tell me a little bit more about that.
It's actually all of the above. Okay. So for our younger kiddos, our preemies, they'll already be in the system because our pediatricians are very responsive, give the great next steps. And like we know, our girlfriend and I'm blanking on her name, but our girlfriend who does the NICU, today's a great day. Yeah, today's a great day. So those families are NICU families. They're getting the information right out the gate. However, for my clients, my partner handles early intervention, elementary. I'm a middle school, high school expert. So for my families coming to me, parents are seeing changes in their student typically. So what that might mean is, decline in grades. So now is there an emotional component happening? Are they withdrawing from peers? Are we seeing a more social emotional component? And we are seeing that post-COVID. And a lot of my families are reaching out about that, especially in our female populations. But teachers, so changes in grades, teachers reaching out more for negative, not the positive, and just changes at home. So from a parent perspective, if any of that's happening, then you reach out to the school counselor, and you say, I'm seeing all of this, let's have a meeting. And from there, we might say, let's have an evaluation. For a student whose grades are consistently always a struggle, they should be identified by teachers for testing. And it really falls to the school. However, the schools are very busy. The schools are understaffed. So I have a dear friend of mine, her son is struggling in math and reading. And this has been ongoing for 3 years in a underfunded public school district. And he was identified for a speech impairment. However, all of the numbers in the data show that he has a math deficit and a reading deficit. But my girlfriend's not me in the special ed geek world. She just said, hey, what's happening with speech? And I said, no, what's happening with math and reading? Let's talk about that. So let's talk about that and this. And so I came with them and I said, here's everything else we need to do along the way. And she was like, I just thought it was one thing. But her trigger, and a lot of parents don't know this, is behavior. So for our young boys, third graders, fourth grade, fifth grade boys, when you start seeing an uptick in behavior or school avoidance behavior around math or reading, but never really both, one or the other, that's their avoidance class. That's when you as a parent can also be saying, hey, we need some help. What's happening? But be a squeaky wheel. So many parents worry about not speaking up, or they don't want to be that parent. Totally be the parent. Just do it nicely.
Yeah, because you can deliver the same message.
A long way.
Yeah, you can deliver the same message 5 different ways, and they can be received 5 different ways, and it never hurts to be kind. Never.
Start out, kill them with kindness. Sometimes it takes a lot.
Yeah. Pull the grumpy person when you absolutely have to, but try not to.
I was telling a dad today in a meeting, we're all virtual still for some of these, and his facial expressions were priceless. And I literally am texting him like, stop with your face. Like, just, it's not sending the right message. Like, turn the video off. And he was like, I know, I'm trying.
I would have a hard time too, because I'm Irish, right? Well, yeah. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but like my friends told me, don't like you can never pretend that you like somebody and be around them, because your face tells it all when they're really getting on your nerves.
There is no poker face with us.
Not really. Oh, so funny. So funny. Well, so if people want to learn more about you and what you're doing and your business and your practice, where do they go? How do they find more about you?
Sure. So you can find us at thereachgroup.net, and we support everyone virtually, or in the state of Pennsylvania, South Jersey, Delaware, we can come to you, which is really great. But we're supporting clients all over the state of Pennsylvania and in this whole area now. So it's thereachgroup.net, and you can find us on Facebook at The Reach Group, and you can find me, Dr. Kristin Meyer, on Facebook as well. And I'm happy to help. We offer free 45-minute consultations. We can give you a lot of advice in that time. And we're very bad at sales, because we'll tell you if you need us or not. We are not putting money in our pocket sometimes. I'm like, oh, you just need to send an email. Don't worry about it, which I'm working on for my financial management strategies. But we offer free consultations, and we do have a foundation, which we're very proud of, the Reach Foundation, and that offers scholarships to families that qualify for discounted services, because everybody deserves expert advice.
Oh, that's so sweet. I didn't know you had that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very awesome.
That's we're really proud of that. We have a lot of scholarship families, and that's really what we're trying to focus on, are more at-risk families.
Yeah. And it comes back to you, right? When you do the right thing, like you were saying, I tell people, just send an email. It comes back to you in different ways. So keep doing it. You're doing what's in your heart, and it shows. It's my why. It really is. It makes me every day. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about a challenge that you have faced as a professional woman.
It's interesting. When we were talking earlier, I did share the one thing about mental health. But it's a very big topic, but it was in my world, in education, like in finance, it's very male dominated in leadership. Okay. And so there's not as many female principals and administrators as one would think. And I'm shocked at that, because teaching is a very female dominated industry. It shocks me that leadership is very male dominated. Where are they getting them? Because we are the moms. Yeah. And so my biggest challenge, when I left teaching, I became an administrator. I became an administrator at the first school I ever taught at. I love the mission, the value, everything. The Vanguard School is a beautiful school for our kiddos, and I loved it. So to go back as an administrator was such an honor and a blessing. But I had a 2-year-old,
Mm. Oh,
and
wow.
having a 2-year-old, I went from a classroom teacher to a building principal. So there was no like, hey, here's an assistant mentorship situation. It's like fish to frying pan. That
Yeah.
was the fall of 2019. So I have a young baby at home. I'm an administrator for the first time. And there is just not enough grace or time in a day for a female to have
Mhm.
that amount of everything, and then you get to go home and still be a mom and hopefully not be exhausted. And I think for me, I'm a very competitive person, and I didn't realize that I am a perfectionist to a fault, and that was my biggest challenge. I could not find a balance, and I sacrificed so much, and I gained so much weight from the stress, and then COVID happened. So the biggest challenge for me is having a leadership role as a female and raise children. And I have seen that with other administrators in my field. I became an administrator as a colleague of mine became an administrator in another building, and she had 2 young boys at home. And you make a lot of sacrifices that men don't. And that's why you will see more men as principals, as vice principals, not because women can't, don't, or won't. It's teachers have a more balanced life as a mom and as a teacher, but as an administrator, that was my biggest. It was
Yeah.
really having to make a challenging sacrifice. And last night my girlfriend, who is an executive at Firestone, texted me at 8 o'clock to say, "Hey, I just got home," and she has
Mhm.
2 little ones. So I think being a mom is something you really have to choose. And I was an older mom. I was so career focused. And I think we teach that to our girls right now, be career minded. And then you kind of lose who you are following a career, but that's who you are. But then when you become a mom trying to, who are you really then? I
Yeah.
think that's been my biggest challenge. My biggest challenge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's real. It is real. And we can take that and drop into many, many industries. And it's the
Yeah.
challenges that women, professional women face.
And
Yeah, I didn't even think of
there's
that for
just
you.
not even enough like credit. Everybody says we should thank women, but like you should. We're here. Everybody else is here because of us. We get to cook you and produce you. Give us a little bit of a break here.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, you're doing great work. I mean, obviously, it is an area that is very much needed. We need more advocates for these kiddos,
Mhm.
and guidance for the parents going through it. Because they're struggling and they're suffering too. Like you mentioned, they have to mourn what they thought this child was going to be. And then not only that, now they're thrust into this new lifestyle of having to, think differently about everything for that particular child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then you learn a whole new job.
Yeah.
I've my career is to know this. I love knowing this, the law, the science behind it all, but it is a full-time job. And
Yeah.
when you get the opportunity to sit down and look through it all, it becomes so overwhelming that a lot of times it's easier to just say, "I'll wait. I'll put it off. I'll read it another day. I'll figure it
Hmm.
out." But
Mm.
that's the document that drives our kids' success.
All right. All right. Cool. Yeah. No. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, what's your vision of retirement? I know it's like in this, in the time machine way ahead, but let's think about it.
I don't really ever envision retiring.
Okay.
I love what I do so much, and because we have the foundation, my big goal is to get the Reach group to a point where we have a team of advocates, a team of service providers, And that means like, occupational therapists and speech and language pathologists on our team. So I really want to grow out that part of our business. So that way, when I retire, I am only focusing on fundraising for our foundation and helping those families at risk. I appreciate what we do, and I know we all have to make money. I unfortunately have a service-driven heart, not a money-driven one. So I just want to get our foundation and just be in a place where I'm helping as many at-risk families and just doing that till the until I can no longer do it, because it's given this opportunity of being a business owner and doing what I love has allowed me to create my schedule. So now I am available for my family first and foremost, as I'd always wanted to be when I was growing up, a mom. So now here I am, I can balance it. So I don't ever think I'm fully going to retire. I would like to have a shore house, maybe do some more world traveling, make sure my daughter can go to school without stress. I really have a fulfilled life right now. So if I could just keep on keeping on, I think that's what all I will ever need in my life, because God's truly blessed me. So I'm okay. So this is fine.
I love your passion. Your passion is like almost catchy. And I love the fact that you are so engaged in what you do. I think maybe that's our action item for all of us, to kind of like delve inside ourselves and take some time for some self-care and think about where are we passionate, where do we have your kind of passion for what we do in our lives? And, is it our career? Is it like some volunteer work that we do? And I think if we can all find that passion in our lives, it makes it a lot better, for the rainy days that we have. Having that passion for something that we love to do and doing it, whether or not it's full-time, part-time, or just on the side, right. I think that can get us through some tough times.
Absolutely. I'm blessed that I can do it full-time. I truly am. But I did it part-time as a teacher here and there. So I was able to foster that. And I think, hitting on what you said, really finding something that just gives you a happy moment is just all you need. One little happy moment a day, and to know that you have that passion and you get to touch on it here and there, whether it be knitting or reading a book, that fulfills you and puts you in flow. I think that's what's so important, that we have, for women, at least 15 minutes of flow, a quiet moment. So I geek out on research. That's my flow too. So, I don't want anybody else to feel like they have to nerd out to be happy. But
no, we all have things like, I get it, because I nerd out on my financial stuff, and I'm not nerding out on what you're doing.
And your stuff gives me such agita. I pick up your book and I'm like, I could do this, Regina. And then I put it back down. It is so scary for me. It is so unbelievably overwhelming.
I get it.
That's how very slowly.
That's how I feel about decorating. Like, I can't. I just can't. Somebody needs, please come and do it for me, because I just can't do it. But we all have our strengths, and that's why we are like a community. And I know I see you out at a lot of community events, and we've known each other for a while now. So I'm thrilled that we finally got together for this. So I'm so grateful that you were able to join me today. And I look forward to watching you blossom and grow more and build your foundation so you can do more and more.
Thank you so much. And thank you for your time. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Oh, anytime. And I want to thank everyone else for listening today. Again, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com, and you can follow me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn, it's Regina McCann-Hess. Go make it a great day.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founders video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.